Hey, Builder35 here. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use the rotation sensors in EV3 motors to measure distance. This is going to be an extremely useful tool for all you FLL teams. So like I said before, we're going to be using the rotation sensors in the EV3 to measure distance. And I'm going to be demonstrating this with this little obstacle course that I've set up here. And the objective is to drive forward, stop, then make a 90-degree left turn, and then end right here in this parking zone. So to do that, what we're going to do is after you've turned on the EV3, you have this home screen here. What you're going to do is you're going to click this right button twice, and you're going to click Port View. And that shows you the number of degrees on each motor. Now right now they're at 0 because the robot hasn't moved anywhere. But now we're going to move it. So to measure the distance, what you're going to do is you're going to take your robot, make sure that your wheels aren't slipping, that they're making good contact with the ground, and we're just going to push our robot forward until we meet the destination, which is these two poles right here. So after we've gone there, after we've gone through our destination, you're going to look at how many degrees it took. So that's negative 1,500. And then what we're going to do, come back onto our computer here. We're going to drag out a move tank block into our program. We're going to set it for degrees. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the number you measured and put that in as your degree value. So that's going to be negative 1,500. So that's it. Now we can download the program. So now I'm starting the program. And as you can see, that went exactly where we wanted to go. Now that's part 1 of 3. The next part is, now that it's there, we're going to need to get it to do a 90-degree left turn. So we're going to be using the same tool. We're going to come down here. So you're going to go right back into Port View. Now what we're going to do, since you want to turn, you're only going to rotate one wheel with your hand, like this, the outside wheel, until you're about 90 degrees with your starting point. So if we were to zoom out, that is going to go straight into the parking zone. So now we're going to see what number of degrees that we have here. You see motor B has 0, and motor C, the motor that we rotated, has negative 250 degrees. So now we're going to go back into our computer. So we're going to be taking a large motor block instead of a move tank block, since we're only moving one motor. We're going to turn it on for degrees. Then we're going to enter the value that we had. So we measured negative 250 degrees. And then you're going to turn on motor C, because that's the outside wheel. You only want the outside wheel to turn. Now we're going to run our program. So it goes forward, and then it makes its 90-degree turn. That was beautiful. Now the last part that we need to do is we need to get it into the finish zone. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back down onto our robot again, back into Port View, and now we're just going to roll our robot until it reaches the finish zone. I need to realign my finish zone. But anyway, so now that it's at the finish zone, that took about negative 900 degrees to get there. So we're going to go back into our computer. So we're back at the computer. We're going to take a move tank my block now, since we want both of our motors to be driving. Before we used just the large motor block because only one motor was moving. Now we want to move in a straight line, so we're back to the tank my block. We turn it on for degrees, and then we punch in the value that we measured, negative 900 degrees. Now we're going to download that into the robot, and we're going to try again and see if it completes the course. So now that we have the last part of the program finished, we're going to line the robot up again, and we're going to run the program. And it should drive forward, make a 90-degree left turn there, and then end up at that finish zone. That worked beautifully. Did you see that? Now, if that were an FLL course, which was the purpose of this video here, that would make it right to where you needed to be. Of course, it did run over the cone. One disclaimer is that this is not an exact measurement. It's a very close measurement. The purpose of this is to eliminate a lot of the guessing and checking that you would have to use normally if you didn't use this technique. So let's see it one more time. That was very good. Now the one thing that we need to do is probably make that 90-degree turn tighter. But you guys get the point. Now if this was an FLL field and you need to make more of a navigation, you could just keep repeating this step over and over again, measuring the distances and turns that you need, and eventually you would get to where you need to be. I know last week I promised you a trick to measure the steering degrees that you would need for a steering program, and this you would use the same exact tool here. So what you would do is you would turn your wheels, your steering wheels, to the one point where they would go all the way to one side and they wouldn't go anymore. So this is as far as it goes, and then you turn it to the other side and you would look on your EV3 screen to see how many degrees it was to go one side to the other. You're not going to go to the middle to one side because you don't know where the middle is. So you'd go from one extreme to another, and then you'd divide that by 2, and then you'd see how many degrees it takes to go from the middle to the extreme, and that's what you would use to program your steering. So that concludes this weekend's tutorial. I hope you guys found this helpful. Thank you for watching it all the way through. I really appreciate it.